What's going on, everybody? It's Jeff here. Welcome back to the channel. Yesterday I made a video talking about AMC. We went over what happened last week, Wednesday's market manipulation. I talked about quadruple witching, what it means for that to occur on a Friday, especially for anybody holding AMC, and what has happened in the past on these dates that only happen 4 times a year. We also talked about Ihor Dusanowski, who is a managing partner of S3 Partners, about his 10 out of 10 rating for AMC to still have a possibility to short squeeze. And in this video, I want to talk about something that I pulled out of the earnings call transcript that I said, you know what, I definitely got to tell you guys about. I finally had time to go over and read through the entire earnings transcript. And as any of you have reading a book before, as you begin to understand how people speak, what their mannerisms are, and exactly what their thought process is and what's going on in their minds, there was something that I read that was very, very important, guys. So we're going to go over that, exactly what I think it means. So stick around, guys. You're not going to want to miss this. For those of you that are new to the channel, please leave a like, consider subscribing if you find any value in this video. And if you are interested in joining our private community, we have over 250 members. It's the first link in the description. We would love to have you over there, so check it out, guys. Let's get into this video. First off, before we talk about that earnings call transcript, I want to mention this, guys. Look at this article. Young retail investors plan to spend almost half of their stimulus checks on stocks. Deutsche survey claims. It was funny because a few weeks ago, when we were talking about the stimulus, I literally said in my video that many people would be investing some of their stimulus, if not all of it, but some of it, into buying more stocks. And I had a bunch of comments on there saying, kind of almost hating on it, saying that, Jeff, you're completely, absolutely wrong. People need this money to be able to pay for their rent and necessities and so forth. And yes, while many Americans, many individuals definitely do need that money to be able to provide, for themselves, their families, and so forth, there's a lot of other individuals too that might make less than $75,000 a year or $150,000 if they're married, okay, that still have more money in their savings accounts. And this is according to studies, have more money in their savings accounts than they did pre-pandemic. So those individuals are going to be the ones that are saying, yeah, let me spend $500-600 on a couple new outfits, let me put a down payment on a car and so forth. But a little bit of that money is definitely going to be planned to go over to stocks. And I just found when I read this article that it was completely, I knew this was going to be happening, and I wanted to bring it up to you guys. But it says an online survey of 430 investors who use online broker platforms found that half of respondents between 25 and 34 plan to spend 50% of their stimulus. Here's another article by Forbes magazine. It says $190 billion of stimulus money could go straight to the stock market. It has Reddit and Wall Street. That's just read it on the phone, which I thought it was pretty funny. But right here it says there's no doubt that retail traders have been enormously active since the coronavirus pandemic. If the stimulus check money finds its way to the stock market, one thing is quite certain: the S&P, the Dow Jones, and the NASDAQ may post new record highs. This last sentence was the most important to me because I consistently stare at bond yields and inflation because I know how much it can affect the market. But it says the stock market will not worry about inflation or rising bond yields, as this new money is going to bring a fighting spirit to retail traders, which is good because that means as rates rise, the market's not going to be able to take a hit. And that doesn't go for just anybody holding AMC. That's all of your stock, especially your tech stocks. So I just want to point that out, guys. 190 billion right here. It says 150 and 190 billion, but that's still an astronomical amount of money. And I guarantee you, every single one of you that is watching this video, that is going to put some of their money, their stimulus, into stocks. I'm sure AMC is going to get a little bit of a benefiting factor to that. So lastly, guys, I want to bring up a couple different things before we get into that earnings call transcript. Okay, this is something that was posted all over the internet, the Fidelity probability calculator that shows AMC in 90 days could reach over $900. I did a little bit of research, and it's Hanweck Associates. It's an independent company not affiliated with Fidelity, and they use previous data based on supply and demand to be able to come up with some of these probability calculators. I also punched in, Apple up there just to kind of see, okay, does every stock say it's going to go, to the moon? And Apple was one a little bit more realistic because, like I said, the supply and demand is what drives these probability calculators. I've also used this website before, and I've showed you guys about it, Pretimingcom. I always use these with a complete grain of salt. It does not make my opinion sway either way whatsoever just looking at it, but it is kind of ironic to see what the potential could be. But it does have AMC continuing up on the rise. Forget the dollar amount at that point, just continuing up on the rise. And like I said, what they use as well is the supply and demand. And basic business broken down, 101 is that in order for this to rise, it's showing that is there an increase in demand and less in supply, which is good because that means more people are holding, adding more to the positions and not selling. So that is good news for us. Lastly, guys, let's get into this article. As I said at the beginning of the video, as I read all about this is word for word on Seeking Alpha. You can go up, and go over it yourself, but it's the entire transcript. It's, it's a bunch of different pages. As I got to like really read it, like I said, when you're reading a book, you understand what their mannerisms are, how they speak, and so forth. And this is what really kind of hit me as I scroll down. I hope it didn't get unhighlighted. Okay, good, awesome. It says, our ATM equity offerings have raised approximately $870 million on the issuance of approximately 278 million shares. Now this whole first section talks about, where they are at financially. Okay, it does bring up the Reddit, the Reddit rally is what they called it, and it talks about the $1 billion that they raised cash on hand, and they said as much as they're bullish exactly about what happened, and they're thankful to all of us, who have, chosen to invest in the stock. A lot of that money and that capital cash was raised prior to December 31. But this goes into a little bit further about where their financials are, how much they're burning, and so forth. Okay, it talks about Silver Lake and not having debt with them as well. And then lastly, right here, very briefly, he says, finally, before handing the call back over to Adam, there has been a lot of interest in the number of AMC shares that are currently outstanding. The total outstanding share count as of March 3rd, 2021 is 450 million shares. As we move forward from 2020, we are doing so with renewed confidence that AMC and our industry has turned the corner. So this individual is talking all about their financials, why it's a bright outlook, how they're handling it well. I mean, they have to, report to their board to basically keep their jobs. And lastly, he throws that in there because of a lot of interest. It really, as you read this and you get to understand the dialogue of what you're reading, it was really out of the blue to kind of happen. So I found it very, very interesting that he made made a specific point to talk about the total number of outstanding shares. So just to kind of bring this back up to you guys, in case you don't fully understand what are shares outstanding, okay? Understanding shares outstanding, okay? Any authorized shares that are held by or sold to a corporation shareholders, okay, exclusive of treasury stock, which is held by the company itself, are known as outstanding shares. In other words, the number of shares outstanding represents the amount of stock on the open market, including shares held by institutional investors, restricted shares, and so forth. A company's outstanding shares can fluctuate for a number of reasons. The number will increase if the company issues additional shares and will decrease if they do a stock buyback, okay? So when we talk about the number of synthetic shares that are potentially out there that these hedge funds have issued in order to be able to short the stock, that number is greatly, guys. I mean, we're looking at 162 million. Now, granted, that could not mean all of those are synthetic shares. There could be many other factors to it. But I just found what's more important to me and what I want you guys to take out of this is it's not just the number of 450 versus 278, which should be the issuance. It's just, and you got to have to read this to fully understand what I'm really trying to get across. But just the whole dialogue and understanding why he made a specific point to throw this out there, okay? Why Seeking Alpha, okay, which you need a paid subscription to read most of their articles, does not have this one because I do not pay for Seeking Alpha, okay? As it says right here up in the upper right-hand corner, you guys can read Upgrade Marketplace Pro. They made a point to have this information public to us. So, guys, that's it for this video. I was reading over it as I had some time today on a Sunday, and I really wanted to get this out there. So take it with a grain of salt. But this week, I think will continue to be bigger. We've continued to close week over week for the last 4 weeks, 5 weeks, much higher. So we're excited to see where this especially goes. And especially because the quadruple witching is known for, in the past, for all stocks, much more volume to happen, which we know that we've needed from the beginning for AMC to continue to rise. So guys, that's it for this video. Leave a comment down below. Let me know any other information that you know about this, and I will see you in the next one.